single-player PS5 games has been voted for by readers over on the Push Square website. But admittedly, I have tweaked things a little bit. There's always a lot of complaints about these kind of videos, that there's a lot of PS4 games remastered for PS5. So I've actually removed them, getting rid of any upgraded or remastered game, although I still included remakes here. Basically, the criteria is just it has to have launched natively on PS5. Now before we get started, consider subscribing to us here at Push Square if you're looking for more PlayStation video content just like this. And anyway, here are 30 of the best single-player PS5 games that you should play right now. Let's kick off the list with a belter of a remake, in the form of Persona 3 Reload. This is a fully reworked remake of the 2006 PS2 classic, and it's easily one of the most stylish games available on PS5. Today, splitting your time between school, relationships, and the demon hunting C's group. Persona 3 Reload is the kind of game you just love to seep yourself into. There's a time mechanic that you must keep on top of, and modernized turn-based combat to master. The menu designs and music in this one are top tier, somehow managing to make it all feel effortlessly fresh and new, whilst holding on to what made the original so special. Our next pick is a banger. Disco Elysium: The Final Cut is a rather reflective RPG where an amnesiac alcoholic cop must be under his way through a murder mystery, whilst also trying to figure out who they are. This is a text-heavy experience, but the writing is top tier and the voice acting even better, with a bunch of really great characters, and a story that offers up new opportunities too, depending on the kinds of information that you discover. Maybe you want to focus on upping your physical stature, or maybe you want to intellectually work your way through scenarios. This Colosseum is a great vibey game and it has a fantastic art style. So I love to play this one on my PS Portal actually. Not gonna lie, I was a little surprised to see Street Fighter 6 here, since I wouldn't really associate it with the single-player experience. But of course you very much can do that, as there are not only plenty of training opportunities, but there's also a campaign to work through, regardless of how much of the experience may also be enjoyed by facing off against real-life players. Capcom has managed to cook up some brilliant tweaks to the combat here, to deliver the best feeling game in the series, and all topped off with a wonderfully sharp graphical presentation, wrapped up in some artistic and colorful flair. There's a lot of fun to be had with this one. Another remake to the list with Star Ocean: The Second Story Arc, a JRPG from the 1998 classic, reimagined with the fusion of 2D pixels and 3D environments, coupled with full voiceovers, new battle mechanics, and rearranged music. It's hailed as a nostalgic modernization of a JRPG classic. But of course, we aren't just here for all of the new stuff. With a sci-fi story filled with prophecy, heroic quests, and party members to befriend, it's here that a lot of the depth of Star Ocean is found. You can play as either Claude or Rena, and your choices can influence the allies you recruit and much more. It's kind of in the title that this is a sequel, the second story, but yeah. The Push Grid gang seem to really like this one, back to back with the remakes. Here we have The Last of Us Part 1, a built from the ground up remake that brings the PS3 classic to the levels of its 2020 sequel, The Last of Us Part 2 at its core. It is the same game, with the same heartfelt tale between Joel and Ellie, as they trek across a post-apocalyptic USA. However, it is the visuals that really bring it all together. Here as a performance-heavy tale, the remarkable improvements to facial animations and graphical fidelity really sell the emotionality of its scenes. And now you have some of those immersive PS5 features, like improved 3D audio, haptic feedback, and adaptive triggers, and improved animations. It might not be the most needed remake in the world, but it sure is nice to play this game at the best quality possible. Stellar Blade is some good old-fashioned hacking/fun, dumping players in an apocalyptic sci-fi world, infested with horrific creatures. You play as Eve, a synthetically enhanced warrior that must reclaim Earth, as you slice apart your foes in challenging combat. For me, the story is, it is fine, but the enjoyment really comes from cool environments, really fun combat, and it just has that old school feel about it, where it's not trying to overly bog you down with dense lore or heavy narrative. It's just trying to take you through this entertaining adventure. With awesome vistas and gnarly enemy designs. Had a lot of fun with this one. The combination of IO Interactive's reboot trilogy. Hitman 3 is simply one of the best Hitman experiences of all time. It's actually kinda hard to separate this game from the previous entries, since it's all packed within the world of Assassination now, which is even playable in PSVR 2 as well. But man, what a game this is. Its levels are densely detailed, and filled with plenty of secrets and pathways. It features a delightful gameplay loop, just, learning the layout, studying guard patrols, and finding the exact right disguise to get you to your target. And Hitman 3 in particular has a really nice mix of large-scale and smaller-scale levels, each with their own distinctive feel to them. Hitman 3 is a must-play for fans of the series. Final Fantasy XVI is next up, a medieval fantasy RPG that leans further into the action side of the franchise, with a moodier and more serious tale, playing as Clive, a prince sent out to a life of slavery. This decade-spanning saga centers around the powers of icons, spiritual Goliaths that engage in enormous destructive battles. The game story is actually a lot of fun with some great characters, although I do think it is let down with some pretty run-of-the-mill filler missions, but when things get linear. Final Fantasy XVI is epic. It's brilliantly exciting, and it sure is a looker on PS5. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is one of the newest games on this list, and a surprise masterpiece for us over on Push Square. This expansive RPG has the magic touch by having no magic at all. It's a medieval set experience without dragons, magic spells, or creatures rising from the dead. No, it's a really grounded RPG set in 15th century Bohemia, which is now the Czech Republic. In this rise to riches tale, you'll spend your hours avoiding bandits, sourcing food, worrying about where to sleep at night, and even keeping on top of your cleanliness. So not to put off the lovely Bohemian locals, it thrives by making you focus on the mundane, and it makes it one of the most engaging RPGs in recent memory. Alan Wake 2 is one of my personal favorites here. Set years on from the original 2010 game, Alan Wake 2 brings you back to the spooky and weird town of Bright Falls, as both FBI agent Saga Anderson and this stuck-in-the-dark-place writer. Alan Wake is a confidently directed survival horror that blends reality with shifting environments, gorgeous visuals, and a twisting narrative. Influences like Twin Peaks are very much felt here with Alan Wake 2. And that quirkiness certainly won't be for everyone. I just lapped up the atmosphere of this game. It's scary, it's exciting, it's mind-bending, and for me personally, one of the most unique single-player games of this generation. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth is the wild and wonderful RPG sequel from RGG Studio. Whereas both Kiryu and Ichiban, you'll set off in an expansive and emotional tale that sees you explore the bustling streets of Yokohama and the sandy plains of Hawaii. Of course, it's bursting with that Yakuza charm with various mini-games, wacky side stories, and even a full island management experience called Dondoko Island. But if you're here for the characters, then we have some hefty narratives, with Ichiban venturing off to find his mother, and Kiddo coming to terms with a cancer diagnosis. That touch of groundedness to this otherwise whimsical world is exactly what was needed to bring the already brilliant series to the next level. The remake that honestly nobody really expected to be good. At least, I didn't. Silent Hill 2, impressively, turned out to be one of the most immersive horror experiences on PS-1. Liberty team has crafted up a truly impressive feat here, with an authentic experience to the 2001 original that is best played with the lights off and a nice pair of headphones on, whether it was the screeching felt through the DualSense controllers or the haunted VHS static heard in your headset. Silent Hill 2 is best played slow and steady, so that you can take in its rusted and foggy surroundings. It's not the most engaging gameplay experience, but that setting and its killer story moments make for a tremendous time. For fans of the books or the games, Hogwarts Legacy is a delight. Explore the iconic Hogwarts castle in its entirety. In this contained open world, you can trek through the Forbidden Forest, make your way down for some shopping at Hogsmeade, or get lost on the way to class in the moving stairwells of Hogwarts. It's clear that a lot of care and love was poured into this game. its impeccable level of detail, and on top of that, you have a late 1800s storyline that expands the universe even further, with eagle-eyed fans likely able to spot characters. What events referenced in the other mediums? I'm not really a Harry Potter guy, but all of my friends are into this series, love their time with this game. Returnal is a tough-as-nails experience that manages to haunt you with its spooky, elusive narrative, whilst also asking you to lock in with some truly manic bullet hell gameplay. This, for me, was one of the first truly next-gen feeling games with near enough unrivaled speed. It actually utilized the features of the PS5, like haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, and not just like, oh, you feel it half. Pressing the trigger was an actual feature in the game for an alternate mode of fire. For those that don't know, it's a narrative roguelike, where astronaut Celine crash lands on the planet of Atropos. You're stuck in a seemingly never-ending loop, where each death sends you back to the start. So it's really up to you to push a little further each time, to finally escape it, in my opinion. The best and most daring exclusive that Sony has released this generation, a launch title for the PS5. Miles Morales is kind of like a fun holiday special for the Spider-Man series. It's a smaller scale experience taking up only around 6 hours or so, but it manages to make the swinging mechanic of the previous game feel like its own with the new, younger character of Miles Morales. And it gives New York a nice Christmassy coat of paint. I actually really appreciated having a bit more of a bite-sized Spider-Man adventure, and Miles Morales' electric tinge combat is much more enjoyable than Peter Parker's, in my opinion. So if you're looking for a short jaunt to New York City, you should check out Spider-Man Miles Morales Resident Evil Village is the second installment in this series to don this first-person perspective, and it somehow manages to be one of the best examples of this long-running horror franchise, with Ethan Winters trying to find his kidnapped daughter. Like a literal baby stolen from him, he must survive the snowy plains of a Romanian-like countryside, complete with spooky, gothic castles and woodlands filled with werewolves. And why not throw in some vampires too, as if the game wasn't scary enough. Village is playable in its entirety on the PSVR 2, and it's widely regarded as one of the best VR experiences out there. It's the perfect catered horror experience for those that fancy it. Spider-Man 2 takes the No. 14 spot, a truly enormous blockbuster kind of game that, from a gameplay perspective, improves things in just about every way over its predecessors. This swinging feels faster than ever, even more so with the new wingsuit glide. New York isn't just bigger, but it feels denser, and having the option to play as either Peter Parker or Miles Morales keeps things fresh from a gameplay perspective. One personally don't think the story hits quite the same as the 2018 original, but it has a lot of heart. And it's great getting to see Venom in action, alongside some other really cool Spider-Man villains. It's just a really fun time, and an easy platinum trophy too. From Software mixed up its Souls-like formula to deliver its open-world magnum opus. Elden Ring is the kind of game you can just go back to, time and time again. If it's your first time playing, you will have several goosebump-inducing moments ahead of you, as the game reveals yet another massive area to explore. Honestly, I couldn't believe that it kept opening up, even dozens of hours into the game, and of course, on top of some beautiful map design, and a great hands-off approach to exploration. The combat and enemy design are just top tier. I personally think that this is actually a really good game to try. First, if you haven't played the other Souls games, those can at times feel like you're hitting a brick wall, but the open world structure of this one allows you to go off and level up a bit, getting more confident with your abilities before giving bosses another go. It's a phenomenal experience. Another roguelike. This time you must escape the bells of hell in Hades. You play as Zegrus, the son of Hades, and you're a bit sick of being the prince of the underworld. So you decide that you want some sweet fresh air on the surface. To get there though, you're gonna have to fight through the 4 regions of Hell: Tartarus, Asphodel, Erebus and Elysium. Across your journey you're gonna die a lot. But being the prince of the underworld has its perks, as you'll be sent right back to the start, with some permanent upgrades and the gradual mastery of the game's arsenal of weapons. Hades is infectious fun, and it smartly weaves a story into its roguelike structure, featuring various Greek gods and myths. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is a super fun platformer from Insomniac Games, and actually one of the best ways to show off your PS5. This gorgeous adventure features a vibrant art style that can impress. With its various explosive parts, flying around and the use of trippy teleportation. There's actually quite an endearing story at the heart of this game, with both Ratchet and Clank finding their multiversal counterparts. And its multitude of worlds keep it as fresh as ever, as you bounce from pirate-themed planet to a split universe. Mining colony where one universe, everything's in working order and the other is completely decimated. It's really cool to see in action. The second chapter in this remake trilogy, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, impresses by further expanding the 1997 original stunning detail, and actually improving upon its first chapter with tweaks to combat. Improvements to visuals thanks to the PS5, and keeping us hooked with a brand new setting to explore. This is a big old RPG. And certainly one of the complaints some people have is that it can be a little bit bloated. But if you love this world, and you're looking for a game to really sink your teeth into, then Final Fantasy VII Rebirth lets you do just that, whilst continuing on the tale of Cloud and the gang, and their hunt for the elusive Sephiroth. From one improved sequel to the other, Horizon Forbidden West is a mighty step up over Horizon Zero Dawn. I mean, for one, it's graphically leaps and bounds ahead of the original, with an impeccable level of detail. The dynamism to its open world, which includes lush forest and sand-swept deserts. It is truly gorgeous. Gameplay has also seen some improvements, with a more spirited combat system. Let's see, but more than anything, the big improvement for me is the story. The original had the hook, but getting to its eventual answers could be a bit of a slog at times. This quest, which involves saving the post-apocalyptic world once more, has far more interesting side characters. And I just love how full on SCFE it goes. And that's me saying that as a game that already had robot dinosaurs in it. While Elden Ring is the best Souls-like to get into for newbies, there's nothing quite like playing the game that started it all. Demon's Souls is an authentically recreated remake from Blue Point Games. That doesn't really change the fundamentals of the game, so it all still feels like that 2009 original. But they have seriously sparkled this thing up to make it one of the best looking games graphically on the PS5, with your favorite Souls bosses coming to life in stunning details, not just visually but through audio as well. Demon's Souls is a ruthlessly entertaining experience that showcases just how right Proms Off got it back in the day. With its various realms to explore, I could spend hours just taking in all the beautiful, yet haunting details of those worlds. Probably the shortest game on this list, and one that every PS5 owner actually has access to already. Astro's Playroom is a bit of a surprise to see this high up, but man, there's no denying it's great. From the outset, Astro's Playroom just looks like a tech demo, showcasing the possibilities of the PS5, and more importantly the DualSense controller team. Asobi injected it with so much heart that it's a genuinely moving experience. If you're a long-term fan of PlayStation, exploring various digital realms to collect each PlayStation console, and various accessories from across the years, Astro's Playroom is stacked full of references, and will have you doing that. You know that Leonardo DiCaprio meme when you see something PlayStation related that you used to own as a kid. Man, it's very short, but it is very sweet, let me tell you. I am glad to see this one so high up. Dead Space is the 2023 remake from Motive Studios, and for me personally, one of the best single-player experiences that I've had this generation. Now, if you are a fan of the original, this is gonna play like you remember. Although a lot of work has gone into the graphics, and more specifically, the audio design to really bring the USG Shimura to life. There are also some tweaks to smooth out the experience a bit, without ruining what made it special. For people like me that hadn't played the original game, I had played to N3 but never won for some reason. This is just a phenomenal survival horror experience that still shocks to this day, with gorgeously gory details and dread-inducing sequences. It's a must-play for horror fans and one and buzzing to get to see. Take the No. 6th spot. One of the most critically acclaimed RPGs of all time. Baldur's Gate 3 is an epic fantasy tale, where players can fully immerse themselves in a world with tactics, choices and plenty of twists and turns, venturing off with a band of memorable characters. Baldur's Gate 3 is fully playable with your friends in co-op, which I think could be a lot of fun. But if you fancy just flying solo, then it's not one of those games that wasn't meant to be played like this. This is what I've personally not gotten around to yet, but every person that's even caught a sniff of this game goes on about how good the writing is, and how surprising the choice-based narrative branches actually impact your story. It's basically a video game version of a Dungeons & Dragons session, where no two playthroughs will be the same. Resident Evil is back once more, this time for the fourth game's remake. Leon Kennedy's quest to save the president's daughter is better than ever, with Capcom keeping some things exactly the same, expanding in other careful places, and wrapping it all up in some really pretty visuals. This one is a bit more action-heavy by comparison to some of the other entries, with plenty of upgrades to be made for Leon's weaponry, and many spooky tentacle zombie-like creatures to be killed. It's a chilling adventure, and exactly the kind of remake that showcases the good that they can do. The concluding chapter to the North Saga of God of War, Ragnarök, is everything you could hope for. Phenomenal action, gripping story, mesmerizing visuals, and some truly top-tier performances, as Kratos and his son Atreus face off against the Norse gods, whilst trying to avoid the falls of their prophecy. Ragnarök takes you on a realm-jumping adventure for the ages. This is one of the few games I blitzed all the way through it to get the platinum, soaking up every little story detail, and obsessing over the game's perfected combat. I think it's got a little something for everyone in here, and it's formidably epic at times. For me, it's a truly 10/10 experience, and if you pair this up with the 2018 reboot, you've got one hell of a story ahead of you. Shooting all the way up to second place, cleared up to your expedition. 33 is all about a team of expeditionals and their quest to take out the paintress, a godly figure that paints a number each year, killing anyone above that age. With decades of failed expeditions and the population dwindling, will this be the expedition to save the world? From its Bella Porch-inspired art style to the dynamic turn-based combat, play Obscure is so much fun to explore and play through. But what really sets its hooks in you is its story, which is perfectly balanced with some heavy, serious moments and moments of quirky silliness. With an all-star cast, best-in-class visuals, addictive combat, and an ambitiously emotional story. Play of Obscure. Expedition 33 may be one of the newest games on this list, but it'll likely be remembered as one of the greats for years to come. A real surprise here, but top of the list we have Astrobot, the somewhat sequel to Astro's Playroom that was blown out to the size of a fully fledged platformer. Now you may be wondering, how does the quirkiness and quality of a game that can be played in like an hour or so stretch out to 15 hours plus of content? Well, the answer is a mini-ad of incredibly impressive mechanics. The creativity on display in Astrobot, a lot of which is down to the features of the Joy-Cons controller, keep things fresh as ever. Team Asobi will include this, really cool mechanic that just literally never shows up again. Single levels, and that's it. It does that all the time. It feels like it has no end of ideas. Like Playroom though, it's a heartwarming love letter to the history of PlayStation, and never fails to bring a massive smile upon your face. Man, there we go. 30 of the best single-player games, according to the readers over on Push Square. Let me know what you would have liked to have seen included in this list and in the comments below. And while you're there, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel anyway. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I've been Aiden and this has been Push Square.